All right, you guys made it. All right, thank you so much for coming back so you can face the facts. This is a module that I love, okay? As you guys see, each module that we get into, I get even more excited. I kind of start off maybe not as excited as I should be, but that's okay. But as I get into the facts, I get really excited because these are the hands-on things. These are the things that really, really make me jump for joy, even more than those tasty cakes that we're going to be had prepared when we're done with all of this. Um, this is not easy mentally. It breaks you down, but at the same time, it builds you up because after you're done with this module, you will feel so confident. You'll feel like, finally, I know exactly where I stand. And so, with Face the Facts, we're going to get into your records and your statements, and we're going to find out all the information you've been wondering for a very long time. And so, I'm super excited about it. Um, you know, Records serve as a reference point from which us financial advisors or someone you're going to try to do business with can help make a map to get from where we are to where we're trying to go. But oftentimes we can think conceptually that's financial security, but it can be very specific. That might mean paying for graduate education, college education. It might even mean looking ahead, trying to put money aside for future things like a home purchase. So it also records evidence of progress. We're making our expenses our assets. It helps us to see whether or not things are growing, whether or not things are shrinking. Assets growing is a good thing, and liability shrinking is also a good thing. So these are some of the things that we want to talk about during this module with Face to Facts and help us to help service our providers such as insurers or lenders to get a sense of how much resources we have or how much we need to insure ourselves. So basic questions like how much renter's insurance or homeowner's insurance do I need to have can help us a little bit by actually looking at a balance sheet and seeing, well, what are we worth? Like we talked about in the last module. So what is the amount of things that we're trying to protect? Let's begin that just briefly and touch on the different types of records. So as you can see, we are getting closer to the top of our ingredient list. And right now we are at Face the Facts. So, we dug deep inside of ourselves. We made our dreams a reality by making smart, realistic goals. And now we're going to face the facts. We're going to measure exactly how much of what we have so that we can know how to move forward. And as you can see, Face the Facts collects the data we need to view your current financial situation. We're going to analyze that data and find bad and good habits, educate yourself in the areas you need, and see where you went wrong and what you thought versus what truly is reality for your own personal situation. So I hope you guys look at the ingredient list. Who doesn't like a measuring spoon? As having the right measurements is the most important part of, baking a cake. Some of us don't need measuring spoons, but it's always nice to know, how much of what you have, right? So let's dig right into it. The financial statements that we're going to go over are 3 financial statements, and that will be the balance sheet. We reviewed this last time. We're going to go over it just one more time to make sure you got it. And then we'll go over our budget sheet, which we're going to actually have an entire module over. So we'll review that just a little bit. And then we'll get into our income statement and also some ratios as well. So let's talk about your records, like we were saying. We have some awesome records that we need to really keep up with each and every year. Some of you might have a big box of records, just inside a box. I know I have different boxes, maybe utility bills that I've had and I just try to keep up with them, or I have hospital bills or insurance, college loans that it's in a big box. That's all I know. And some of you might be like that. We have everything in that box, but we're going to organize those things so that you can actually put them to use. Because sometimes we just hold on to things and they're very valuable to us, but they're not as valuable if we can't go back and know exactly where they are when we need them. So we have some different categories on the screen, if you can see. The first section is kept and reviewed every year. So these are things that you want to look at all the time, at least once a year, and I would recommend right before you do your taxes. Those type of things are your IRA contributions, receipts that you've purchased throughout the year, retirement plan contributions, statements, brokerage account statements, bank records, check stubs. And you can see how important these are to keep up with because, we want to keep them at least a minimum up to a year because these are things you're going to need to put on your taxes if you want tax write-offs and things like that. Also, if you just want to know what happened, maybe you're going to purchase a house or something like that, you're going to need to know what you have available to you. So you want to keep these at least up to a year. And then we have the things we want to keep up to 7 years: loans, payoff, debts owed, and paid. So you want to know the debts that you owe and also the ones that you paid off. So don't just forget about debts because you paid them off. You want to keep those receipts and make sure that you keep that for up to 7 years just in case something happens or you see something on your credit report. You want to review monthly your balance statement, income statement, and budget sheets. And again, we'll get into that as well. And forever safety deposit box or at a financial institution, you want to keep your homeowner records, your name, addresses of individuals you do business with, identity statements, meaning your birth certificate, passport information, resignation letters, critical letters of appointment. So these are things that can really hinder or affect your life in a major way. If you lost your birth certificate, social security card, this information, it will be very detrimental to you. You can't barely do anything without identification. And then names and address of individuals you do business with. Some people keep that stuff on their phone and then they lose their phone. I'm like, oh my gosh, these are some very important contacts. I can't, be without being able to call this person today. So you want to write that stuff down and put it in the cloud somewhere. You want to put a lock on it. Make sure that if something happened, if your whole entire house burned down today, that you will have access to the most important information that's available to you. So, even if you have a backup, you need to back these things up, print them out, get a P.O. box, put that stuff there. A security box at the bank, and keep that stuff there just for your safety and for insurance purposes. But again, I've told you to collect all of these things in the last module, and hopefully you did. And it's going to help you in this module where we actually go into using that stuff. So we also often want to keep some of these items a minimum of 1 year, oftentimes permanently or at least until the securities are sold. If it's for individual stocks or bonds, at least until those securities are sold and the taxes are paid or not paid. Maybe they weren't due. A lot of times with modern day electronic banking or Check 21 legislation, those funds, those checks are all kept virtually by financial institutions. So individual records may be less important. It's still a good idea, though, to keep them in a place that's very safe. For you, because what if something happens to the bank? Just, stay one step ahead of yourself. And again, a list of everything that we and everyone we do business with and their contact information. Very, very important. This is in case, like I said, someone else needs to reach them on your behalf, right? It can be a scary thing if we were sick, unable to help ourselves for a little while. Someone may need to step in and help to pay some of those bills that we have, access some of those accounts, and they wouldn't even know whom to call if we were unable to share that with them for themselves. So just think about a bad day and prepare for that. And definitely have things signed, like at the hospital. If something did happen to you at the hospital, they have documents that you can sign that says this person is able to access. You definitely want to have one person, at least one person in mind, who can go and access your belongings in case something happened to you, because what you don't want is a stranger having to make these decisions for you and they know nothing about you. That would be horrible for your situation when you come out of whatever's going on, or your family who is detrimentally wanting to help in some type of way. So, um, just keep a tab of this, and as a foundation you can just remember these years and time limits of how long you need to keep up with each document, and that should help you along your financial journey and keep you from going crazy or not knowing where everything that's very important to you is, because you already keep up with it, so you know it's updated all the time. All right, so here's a larger example of our record. So we have IRA contributions, and then, how long you want to keep that permanently, obviously. A filing cabinet, you can keep that in a filing. Now that we're in 21st century, you can put that in the cloud. We have our retirement saving plan statements up to 1 year permanently. So each year you're going to replace that with the new statement. Um, your brokerage statements until those securities are sold. So once they're sold, you can get rid of them. You no longer own them. Don't need to know the information about it. Bills and receipts, at least up to a year. If you have a business, sometimes they want you to keep that up to 3 years, okay? So just make sure you keep tabs on that. Your bank records, 1 year. We have cash, debit card, and credit card receipts or statements from 45 days to 7 years. And again, some of these are already in the cloud and inside of your account, so you can go and print them off at any time. Just do what's best for you. You can depend on that, access, but also think about, what if I don't have access to my account one day and someone really needed this information? You may want to go ahead and get a backup and put that in a filing cabinet, and just trade it out, the document out, each statement, just change that out once a year. Final statements at least 7 years from the payoff. So, if you had a loan, a home loan especially, you want to keep that for 7 years. Put that up somewhere. Check stubs, at least 1 year. Usually, if someone's going to ask you about income verification, they want the last year of funding. So keep that in a filing cabinet. Keep the pay stub. Keep the check, the dates that's on it. Make sure you have everything together so you can just pull it out, copy it, you're good to go. Name and address of financial institutions where checking and savings accounts are kept. You keep this permanently and put that in a fireproof box or a safe deposit box. And if something happened to you, a family member can access that with your code and get all the things that they need. Homeowner records, 6 years to permanently, maybe permanently, right? These are very important unless you sell the home, obviously. And you want to put that, probably make 2 copies of that just in case. Then we have our personal documents, your birth certificate, death, marriage, or divorce. I have like 3 different birth certificates. I keep one with me. I keep one in a safety box, and I give one to my mother. You can use someone else to keep these documents. That way the person already have access to them. You don't even have to tell them where your secret safety is, because you're giving them the authorization to hold on to some very sensitive information just in case something was going on. So like with my children, if I have Social Security, I have double Social Security cards, and I give them to someone that I trust to hold on to that. So you can keep those permanently, and again, in a fireproof box or a safety deposit box. Social Security papers, your passports until they expire. Once they've expired, sometimes you still want to hang on to them, actually, because even though you can't use it to go traveling with, you could still use it as a form of identification, and it can get you a lot further than if you didn't have one at all, just in case you lost all other types of identification. So, copies of critical letters, letters of appointment or resignation, and then legal notifications. If anybody ever questioned you, they would have no problem verifying your information. So, just go ahead and keep up with your documents and get those personal documents out. Make a list of them. Put them, what I do is on my computer, I have a very safe folder, and it has a password and encrypted, and I put all my information there, and then there's a backup on it as well. So I always recommend people actually getting a really good printer and copying all the information that might not already be online that's downloadable, and putting that stuff on your computer, and just safeguarding your computer and making sure that it's scanned and it doesn't have any viruses or anything like that. But this is your personal computer. You can have one computer solely meant to hold all of your personal information. If something were to happen, all you have to do is take that laptop and go. Or that, if it's a backup, kind of like extra drive, you can just unplug it and go, and all of your stuff is there. So that's how I do it. So what we're going to do now is I'm going to go with you into our cash flow cake book, because thankfully I'm not just going to let you guys go and be like, go get all of that stuff that we just talked about and put it together. We actually have some tools that in the Cash Flow Cake workbook that's going to help you with this. I'm just going to show you what some of those are. And some of these we might see again, just because I am trying to, go over everything. So you'll probably see me skim through some of the pages again. But for now, just focus on the sections that we want to take a look at. So let me go ahead and down zoom this so we can see the entire pages. Let's see, 75%. Okay. So first of all, we have, let's not do this one first. Okay, so gather your ingredients, okay? Obviously your record ingredients in this case. And this is very exciting. So again, this is not the most mentally exciting thing to do, but you do want to do it, and it is very important for your financial future to get these things together right now, okay? Guess what? Once you do this one time, you won't ever have to do it again, because you're always going to be updating your records and making sure that they're current. So if I were you, I would definitely get this done and be excited about it. Maybe take one section at a time. So as you can see here, we have our personal assets and liabilities, other real estate. Take one section a day. Just take a week, say 7 days. Set a goal to get all of this done, and each day do one part. That way you're not trying to get it all done in one day. Sometimes you definitely can't get all of this done in one day, because you may have to contact some people, arrange some things, dig in those boxes or bins, right? So be reasonable with your time. However, set a goal of 7 days to get everything together in an organized manner, so that we can continue with the modules with the information, okay? Some of you have already packed up into a folder your receipts and things from the last module, so that would definitely help you also. And then some of you have these things easily accessible in your accounts, credit card accounts, banking accounts. You can just go download your latest statement, and there you go. So I'll show you how I have mine set up on my documents on my computer, because that was the last thing I spoke about. So let me bring this up real quick. I have a lot of files on my computer. All right. So basically, as you can see, I told you guys to, use your computer to put stuff up. So basically what I've done is I created in my documents a personal documents folder. And in that I have, my credit card statement, my bank statements, auto registration. Inside of that, let's see what's in there. We have my title history, inventory receipts, all of these things that are in there. And then I have, child support. I got my passport. Yes, copies of my passport, because who knows? I mean, a copy of something can get you very far. Some people want originals, but some people will take copies. I have my resumes, and obviously each year, so I have my latest 2018 resume here. And I just keep these things updated. Every time I get something new at the end of that year, I'll just, put it in there if I feel like it's important. So yeah, that's just a sample. This isn't all of it, but I just wanted to show you, some things that I do. Agreements and personal documents. Now, this is very powerful. Here I have, I made my will. I'm young, but I do have a will, and I'm going to go into that when we get into our Secure Your Cake lessons, about different documents that you want to type up and make sure you have on deck. Make sure somebody knows where to access that. Have a child travel consent. Who can take my child at what time? There is a release waiver, and also power of attorney, my business operating agreements, all in there. So it's very organized on my computer. So that's how I do it. Now, within the CashFlow Cake documents that we have in our workbook, these are some great things. So first of all, if you want to just go gather everything together, use this list. So basically we have your personal assets, deed to your home. If you own a home, you're going to just check that off. If you don't have a home to call your own, the one that you have with a mortgage, don't worry about it. Just put a line through it, you can just, like put a line through it like that. And then for each credit card loan or line of credit, you need your balance that you owe, and then statements for the last 6 months. And then for each bank account that you have, statements for the last 6 months. Okay? Deed for each property, mortgages on each property you have, details of any timeshares that you have for vacation purposes, your most recent pay stubs. I'm going to say on pay stubs, you want your last year, okay? Pension, income, CPS, go get these things. The very interesting fact that I've asked, several people, what do you know about your investments or your work investments? And they're like, I don't know. That stuff just comes out of my check and I don't know anything about it. So this is a great time to, sit down and maybe read some of that stuff while you're gathering these materials together. Your income tax returns for the past, it says 2 years. I'm going to say 5 years, okay? Never know. Notices of assessment sent by Canada Revenue Agency if you're Canadian. And then we have our investments, our insurance information, education funding, estate documents. This is our wills, power of attorneys, personal documents, prenuptials if you're married, separation agreement, child support document, any document, personal document that you have. And so you can go through all of this. It's going to be a reminder, check off all the things that you need to get together, okay? The next thing, and we'll go over the income guidelines in another chapter, but the next thing is the daily expense tracker. You want to make sure you have this on deck. Also, we had the expense tracker in the last module that I showed you with the nice little pictures, and that was one type of daily tracker. And I can bring that up back up for you. Hold on, let's see. So this is a daily tracker here. And you know, it's a lot of fun. But if you don't like this tracker, you can use in the workbook, we just have the original one. And basically you just put the date. You see the date goes here, whereas on this one, the date goes right here under the day. And then you'll put the expense, what that expense was. So here there's no pictures, but you would just write it in. So if you purchase a t-shirt or whatever you did purchase that day, you're going to write it on here. And one entire sheet is for that one day. Okay. But in the week, you should have 7 sheets. Whereas if you use this one sheet is for the entire week. Okay. And then you'll total it at the end of the week. So, and they're divided up. But if you decide that, hey, I don't like the categories on this sheet, then you can use this one because there's no separate certain categories. They're just, you can write in whatever you want to. And then at the end of the week, tally up the papers, and there you go. The next thing is our household budgeting worksheet. We want to get that filled out. Now, next module in budgeting, we will be going deeper into this. So I'm not going to really talk about that right now, but you can take a look at it for now. And let's see. Then we have our personal asset worksheet. This is what I wanted. So use this worksheet to identify your current assets and value, identify your current beneficiaries, and name the person for future designation. So you want this to match up with your will if you make one or if you have one. So you want to get this done along with the other sheets that, you know, where you're finding everything. This is one thing you want to do. So your home and residence, you know, you got that mortgage documents out. You know, what is the current value of your home if it lists it there? Who is the beneficiary of that home? And what is the future designation? Your land, it has everything on here. Jot those things down. We need to know. You need to know. Also, here's a household inventory worksheet. You need to know everything that's in your house. You know, how many beds do you have? How many blankets do you have? How many rugs, electronics, whatever, and put the value of those, not how much you purchased it for. You may have to do a little bit of research and find out what the current value of those are, or make a good estimated guess and jot that down, okay? These inventories are great for if you have a very bad accident, you're not near your home, so people know exactly what you have. You know, you may have like a very old item that your grandmother passed down to you and nobody knows about it. You forgot about it. It's not even on your inventory. If the insurance claim came, they're going to want to know, and they're going to know where the receipts are. They want to know the value. Sometimes we just can't think fast enough when we're in chaos to know those things. So to have it jot down, it's going to make it so much easier for you, and just print it off and give it to them. Like, these are the items I have. This is the stuff that was mine. All right, and make sure it's dated. Update your inventory once a year, or when you buy something, add it on. Usually if you get rid of something, just delete it off, or, you know, just update it at the end of the year, and then add whatever else is new and date it and sign it. Now, so this is your net worth sheet. You're going to complete that. So your assets, and some of these are kind of, you may see that repetitive. So here we have our household inventory, and we have like some bed, electronics, and things like that. So then when we get to our net worth sheets, we have personal possessions all over again. And we may have jewelry on our household items and our net worth sheet. So make sure, just don't get bored with it. Just say, oh, okay, I knew I had that too. So let me go ahead and jot that down as well. So, sounds like the ice cream man is outside. Ice cream. All right, and cake, right? Okay, so get these sheets done. So, I mean, it's very easy, self explanatory. I mean, you look at the line, you figure out the value, um, and then at the end, you'll total it up. So, you'll total all those numbers up in these boxes, all those numbers up, and then at the end, you'll have total assets, and then minus your total liabilities, and then equals your net worth. So these are your assets. These are your savings and investments. These are your retirement savings. So these are your total assets down here. Then it has all of your debts over here. So you'll take your total assets, put that number right here, and then all of your liabilities, that number that's go right here, it'll go down here as well. And then you'll have your net worth. So your financial records and all of the information that I told you about regarding your income, this is a sheet to keep you knowing always where that stuff is. So on this one, it just asks, what type of automobiles do you have, your bank accounts, your credit card accounts, your employment insurance, all of that. What is it? Okay. What category is it in? Where is it filed? What's the lockbox number? And what's the safe deposit number? And so, you want to make sure you put down the bank it's at and the account number and maybe even the routing number if you want to go that far. Maybe not. You don't have to. Just put as much information that you need in case you forgot that. This is very handy, in case you forgot your checkbook at home. Say you were traveling with this sheet with you. You went out of town or something like that. Maybe you'll be able to do a check by phone because you had this financial record with you. I mean, that would be really great, especially if you loaded it in the cloud and no one else had access to it but you. Then you really wouldn't be out if you lost your wallet because you have this information there with you. Sometimes I've lost my debit card and the people, they're like, okay, well, just give me the credit card number. And I'm like, dang, I don't even know the credit card number. I don't even see how people can remember their credit card numbers and stuff like that. The least I can remember is the number on the back, but the whole 12-digit, 10-digit number, no way. So if you have this with you, you'll be good. And you can still make purchases, at least the important ones. And then, organizing your financial record continued. You have your residence information, your savings, your schools information, Social Security, taxes, warranties and receipts, wills and trusts. All right. On our last lesson, and I do apologize, I didn't get to put this in our last lesson, but in this book, obviously you can see that there's a SMART goal worksheet here. And if you didn't get to work on that in our last lesson, then you can work on it now and make sure you make some SMART goals. So here it just breaks down, what is your goal, what, why, and how. How is it measurable? How many and how much? Is achieving the goal realistic? Is it timely? When are you going to achieve it? And is this goal important? But we're going to get into the SMART goals as well, again, when we go into our budgeting. So you'll see that one again. All right. So as you can see, there's another worksheet that you can use to gather your materials. This is a bank account comparison worksheet. This is actually used for if you're sourcing for new bank accounts or credit cards, and you're trying to compare which one to get or which one not to get. And you kind of just fill this out whenever you're asking questions of that bank, so you know if it's best for you, or you can visually see what it's about. And then I'm just trying to make sure there's no other worksheets you can use for this module. This worksheet, personal current investments comparison worksheet, it basically just visually gives you all of your stuff on one page. So it's your cash investments, your bond, and then your stock equity share investments. And as you can see down here, it'll give you your total cash flow once you're done adding everything up. So as an example, your savings deposit, you got $2,500 in there. If you had another bond investment, you would put what that is and the amount. And then you will, calculate addition down, put that in the total percentage box, and then on one sheet, how much percent of what type of investments you have in one place. All right, so I'm going to stop that there, and you just look into your cash flow cake worksheet and the workbook, and make sure that that you have these tools available to you. So I'll see you on the next module, and I look forward to breaking this down even further for you. So all you want to do is just make sure you go gather all of those materials that we talked about, and that way you can utilize it next. That might take a couple of days to do, so don't feel rushed to get to the next module. This module is very important, and I do want to stress that, because these are our measuring cups. You need to measure. You need to know exactly how much of what you have today and going forward. You need to keep up with that, okay? So I can't stress that enough, but I'm very excited. I can't wait till you build the most perfect cake. You can do this. Mentally prepare yourself by taking your time, taking each step one step at a time. Don't rush yourself. Go over the checklist as many times as you need to make sure you have everything. By the time you get done, you're going to feel exhausted, maybe wore out, but you know what? You're going to feel so complete, because you're going to be like, you know what? Now I know about myself. You're probably going to find things or think about things that you forgot. You may even want to ask your parents or grandparents or any family member if you have money coming to you, or if you're if you're on their wills, or insurance statements. So make sure you know about those things, okay? Well, I'm so excited for you, and I look forward to watching you, gather all of your documents, measure everything that you have in an asset, measure all of your liability accounts, so that we can finally figure out what you're worth, so that we can tackle that down and make a difference and build your awesome cash flow cake.